Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel, and today I wanted to talk about why I love fitness, what brought me into fitness, and a little bit of my fitness journey. And I have pets visiting, so I hope they're not too distracting for you. She's almost 11. She doesn't listen sometimes. So, and I have a dog over here. Alright, so when I was growing up, I was not raised in an athletic household per se. I have three older brothers, and one of them played football. Another one was really into like extreme sports. He loved riding motorcycles and jet skis and doing all that stuff. And then my brother, who's 2 years older than me, was the computer programmer growing up, and he's in IT now. Big surprise there. And then there was me, and I didn't play any organized sports. I did roller skating, I did bowling, I played the violin, I did a lot of art classes, a lot of music classes, I sang, but I didn't do anything physically really daunting other than the chores around the house. Like we had horses, we had dogs, so that was my sport. Was I was supposed to just, roller skate, bowl, shoot, and take care of pets. So that was what I did. And we build fences. So anyways, when I turned 17, I decided to sign up for the delayed entry program for the United States Army, and I did. And when I was 18, I went to boot camp, or basic training. And that was the most physically daunting experience of my life at that time. I had to lose 20 pounds, I remember, to join the Army. At the time, I was too big, and I had always known that I was the chunky kid. I remember when I was like 10, my dad walked up and like shook my hip and said I needed to lose that weight, but I didn't know how to. I was a kid. I didn't know. So I had a terrible self-image. That's just one tiny little piece of the pie. A terrible self-image when I joined the Army, and I got into pretty good shape while I was in basic training, and then once I got to my first duty station, I loved PT because I was good at it. I loved, and PT is physical training, I loved the fact that I was an okay runner. I wasn't the fastest by any means. I was an okay runner though. I could run long distance pretty well. For push-ups for a female, I usually did really well. Sit-ups, I usually did really well. As far as like pain and all that, I was one of those that I loved just shaking off the pain and continuing on and not complaining. So there were always struggles and things that I wasn't good at. And once I had my first child, that kind of came to light. I had to figure out how to get back to where I was before I had her. And that was a huge task because you only get, at least back then, you only got 42 days of leave after you gave birth before you had to be back. And you had to be able to fit back in your uniform within so many days. And you had, I think, only 6 months before you were expected to be back at your full potential once again. And anybody who's ever had a baby knows that that is tough. It takes more than 6 months for most of us. So I did that twice while in the Army, and both times it was a huge task, but luckily because I stayed active throughout my pregnancy both times, it made it easier. So with my second one, I actually became an instructor for the pregnancy program on Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I loved that. I loved being up in front of everybody and leading them through physical fitness and teaching them some like silly aerobics and doing the pool aerobics, and it was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I kind of found like a passion in it. But then I stayed in the Army for another few years. Then I got out, and right before I got out, I was deployed to Afghanistan, and while I was there, I was in an IED blast, and I didn't know it until a long time later, but I actually fractured my spine. And how I found out was when I got out of the Army and I decided, oh, I'm going to go run the Army 10-miler again, and my feet were numb halfway through. That was a sign, and I ignored it. I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. My feet are just numb. It's okay. And I kept going. And then I went to hair school and became a hairstylist. And while I was in hair school, I got pregnant with my third child, and my feet were going numb again. My toes would go numb. I was having excruciating pain in my lower back. And I thought, well, I've toughed out all this other garbage throughout my life. I'm going to tough this out too. I'm going to graduate from school. I'm going to be a hairstylist, and I'm going to move on. And I went to the doctor, and they said, nope, you're not going to just move on. You have a fracture in your spine. There's a little chunk of the L4 just hanging out over here where it's not supposed to be. And I had to go to physical therapy or have surgery. I am never going to give medical advice to anyone else on this channel, so please don't take this as medical advice from me. Disclaimer right there. Do not sue me. I chose physical therapy, and it changed my life. I went from, I want to say I was about 184 pounds when I went to physical therapy. However, I don't remember the last time I weighed myself before I started physical therapy. So that number might be lower than it actually was at the time. And I was still married to my ex, and I was incredibly unhappy just because I had internal struggles. I had a lot going on emotionally. When you first get out of the Army, it's a huge, huge process mentally. A lot of us struggle with it. Not everyone. Some people are lucky enough that they don't have that problem, but I did. And so when I found out that my back was broken and I stopped moving and stopped doing things, I gained about 65 pounds, started physical therapy, and I met my wife. My wife was my physical therapist. I know, pure romantic comedy, like, oh, this is just too great. This has to be a movie. And yes, my hands are purple from paint. So I did not do anything inappropriate or anything like that, so please don't get that impression. But my wife basically changed my life. She taught me how to move and how to do things and how to lift weights and how to move my body the right way so that I didn't re-injure myself. And she taught me that I could be physically fit again eventually. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that you can expect to have happen immediately after your injury. So when I finished physical therapy, I continued going to the gym on my own. I continued doing the stretches that she taught me and her assistant taught me, which I'm still friends with her assistant today. And I kept doing all the things that I needed to do. And I decided to do bodybuilding. And it was a huge journey that I went through with a great friend of mine. His name is Rick Hodges. And he was another life changer for me. You know, you have those people that you meet and they change your life. They change your outlook on life. They change how you do things. And he taught me how to love myself again. Because that deep down, fitness is teaching yourself how to love and appreciate what your body and what you can do. That's ultimately what it is. It's not about just looking good and looking great in a bikini or looking like an Instagram model. It is about loving yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the only person that's going to be there. Truly. Your kids, you love them. They're obviously going to be there for you. But you're the one that depends on yourself in order to survive. So when I did a bodybuilding competition, obviously I'm not a big person. I'm 5'2", and right now I weigh about 138 pounds. I think on stage I was 122 pounds, and I was tiny, and I was smaller than everybody else on stage, and I got, I think, second to last place. But it taught me confidence. It taught me how to get out there, put myself out there, get outside my comfort zone, put on a little tiny piece of string and sequins, and get out there and shake it for everybody. And I did it. And after I did that, I didn't do another competition again, because I decided I did that. That was bucket list right there. I did a bucket list. And I gained back about 30 pounds. And I totally hated myself for it afterwards. But, you know, in the midst of all that, eventually I had gotten divorced in 2014. And in 2015, I actually officially asked my wife out, kind of. She would say otherwise. She would say that I just text her, but I asked her out. So, anyways, 2014, got divorced. 2015, started dating my wife and did my competition that same year. Like, we started dating, I say May like 20th or something. My competition was June 6th, and then we were married in December. So it was like, boom, like 6 months later, put a ring on it. She was mine. And I got comfortable, and I started to gain some weight, but I also didn't feel good, and I didn't know why at the time. I had no idea what was going on with my body, but I felt like crap, and I ate like crap, and I was still lifting all the time, so I was still stronger. However, there was something wrong. There was something amiss. Lo and behold, I had cervical cancer. I didn't know it. And I found out because we decided to get pregnant. So I went to the doctor and found out that I couldn't get pregnant. I needed to go and meet an oncologist and find out what to do. And I had a total hysterectomy in August of 2017. And there's a whole long story behind how that even developed, how that happened. There's a lot of stuff still going on legally because of it. So I'm not going to divulge too much. However, I was back at almost square one again. Because when you have a total hysterectomy at the age of 33, I have a dog here. Say hi. At the age of 33, when you have a total hysterectomy, and I don't care what fitness level you're at, it's debilitating emotionally. And I mean, unless you're one of those that you're begging for it because you want one, and that's fine. Some people, I have met people who voluntarily had a hysterectomy because of different medical diagnoses and things that they had going on, and their own preference. But I wanted to have a baby for my wife, so for me it was debilitating emotionally. I was very depressed for several months, and just recently, although I had kept lifting, recently I had found that drive again where I actually wanted to be fit like I used to be. We all have these ups and downs. We all go through these roller coasters in life, and we all go through trials and tribulations. So I know that my story is mine. However, there are other people out there that have been through this. You're going to have, depression because of just chemical imbalances. You're going to have issues where you have a medical diagnosis that really depresses you and upsets you and makes you gain weight. And that's what happened to me that time. I had already been through so many different things that I thought, what else can happen? And it happened. Talk about bringing it to light. But now, I found something that I absolutely love and I have passion for, and I want to share it with the world, and that is Beachbody and its fitness. And I have been only on this journey for a short time. However, I have already seen results. I'm already seeing body fat loss. I'm seeing more muscle definition in my legs, my butt, and I have a booty. And everything is starting to fall back into place where I really, really wanted it to be. So, if you stick with me and you keep watching my videos, I promise I'm going to keep bringing you some more of this journey, and I'm hoping to share my passion with you more and more and share my love for fitness. But I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of where I'm coming from. That's 13 minutes of, that's a long story. I feel like I just drowned you guys with information. But this is what happened, and this is why I'm here, and I hope that somebody out there is going to get something from it. So please stay tuned, and I will be back tomorrow.